Thunder bounced back in tremendous fashion in this game 2 that was predictable in some people's eyes. Maybe some people thought it was going to be a little more competitive because of what the Pacers showed in game 1. The series is tied. The Thunder relieve some pressure, though still technically you could think they're chasing the series because they've got these 2 road games coming up. The Pacers have done their job. They took one on the road, next 2 at home. Let's talk about it. And the topics for this one, we're going to go through the team data. I actually have a new little graphic to display that hopefully sticks around when I'm doing the team data. I got game clips and shout-outs. We're going to go through the game clips and kind of just give some shout-outs for both teams. I'm also going to do some call-outs like I've done in the couple of last pods where we call out some players. I'm also going to go through perspectives from both teams like I've done in the last couple of pods after 2 games. Then I'm going to go through some final thoughts. So let's get right to this one. So game 2, I'm definitely making sure that I am keeping track of the team comparisons, the team data. So you could see it on the screen now. I'm looking at points in the paint, rebounds, points off turnovers, fast break points, 3-point percentage, and the Thunder basically won almost every category here, right? Points in the paint, the Thunder, they've been winning this battle the last 2 games, so pretty expected. I mean, it was something that, like I said, before the series even started, it was the area of strength for the Thunder, and that continues to be the story. Rebound-wise, the Thunder, they bounce back. They win the rebound battle, not by much, but you definitely want to see them ahead if you pick them to win this series. In terms of points off turnovers, the Pacers turned it over more, but they got more points out of those Thunder turnovers. So that was a little interesting piece of this whole thing. Now, fast break points for the Pacers. That's something that I was very interested in seeing because obviously that's their bread and butter. They play fast. They play in transition. They try to get cross matches and, look for advantages as they push the ball after they get a stop or after a team scores on them. Whatever the case may be between those 2 things, the Pacers like to obviously pick up the pace. And the Thunder have had incredible transition defense. Got to give credit to the small ball lineups, even though, you know me, I love the double big stuff because I feel like the advantages on offense are just so big, right? And pun intended, I guess. But so fast break points for the Pacers, though, 9 to the Thunder's 4. And that is really something that I think if you're a Pacers fan, you should be concerned about because anytime a big source of a team's offense or a big source of a team's kind of like style, right? When that gets cut, if it gets cut in half, which this is technically the case, you could be concerned when it comes to this stuff. So I went back and looked at the Pacers' regular season fast break points. They were 5th, and they were at 17.5 fast break points per game. So far in this series, they're at 9.5 fast break points per game. So the Thunder really cutting that down big time. And that could be the determining factor on top of the fact that, in my opinion, the points in the paint from the Thunder, I think that is a huge problem for the Pacers that I just don't see how they're going to solve. I saw some zone stuff in game 2. I don't think they zoned at all in game 1, but I saw the Pacers. You could tell Rick Carlisle is just kind of trying to figure things out, maybe, throw some darts and see what hits. And obviously none of it was working. This was a huge comeback and, bounce back game 2 for the Thunder. Now, 3-point percentage, the Thunder won that battle as well. They defended the 3-point line incredibly well, which is one of the big points that I was also making about this series. The Thunder being the number 1 3-point defense, and the Pacers obviously really needing that 3-point line to get what they need, right? Because the Pacers like to drive also. They like to use that space to get to the rim. And if they're able to shoot well, even if they're being contested or if they get good looks off of those driving kicks, it starts to open up the Thunder and it starts to force the Thunder to play a little more of like island defense, where it's like a lot of one-on-one and hard to help each other, but the Thunder do it better than anyone I've ever seen. I've said that all year long, and I had questions about the games the Thunder were not going to shoot well from 3, and we got exactly that here. They shot, 35% from 3, and they looked pretty much discombobulated, right? When they don't have those threes falling, it becomes very problematic because the Thunder are not going to stop playing hard defense. They're not going to start pressuring the ball. They're going to give 100% effort. And let me get into these other stats because I don't want to spend too much time on this section. Deflections. The Thunder had 21 deflections to the Pacers 12. And that to me is also something that I always expect from the Thunder. I always expect them to lead games in deflections. And this game was no different. So shout out to the Thunder. They get their hands on everything. And it was a storm. This was a storm surge for the Thunder. Shea, I took note of this stat because I've been tracking his mid-range shooting percentage because it's just so fascinating to see someone in 2025 dominate the most important games of the season, the playoffs, the finals, and doing it in the mid-range. Obviously getting to the rim and stuff like that, but just a unique shot profile in 2025. He's at 53.8% in the mid-range in the finals. Just incredible stuff. This man was unstoppable. So far in the finals, Shea's at 36 points, 5.5 assists, 3.5 steals, 5 rebounds. He's 49% from the field. He's 40% from 3, and he's 90% from the free throw line. I mean, this is disgusting stuff. This is just, Shea is a monster. He's an unstoppable force against these Pacers. I thought this was a really good matchup for Shea because it's a team that will struggle to protect the paint when you've got size. And when you got a guy that can just create offense for himself and do it at a hyper efficient level like Shea does, it's just the perfect storm, right? It's just the perfect mix of circumstances for Shea to have a great series, and it's why we're seeing these crazy numbers. What else do I have here? No, that's it. All right, so let's move on to the next section here, the game clips and the shoutouts. This was probably my favorite section for this episode, just because there were so many great moments, even from both teams. But I want to start with just the Aaron Wiggins reverse layup. That was a beautiful finesse, in control finish. And honestly, it also comes at the hands of a great Hartenstein kind of thread the needle, throw ahead pass to Aaron Wiggins cutting off the ball. Hartenstein, man, like, I'm going to go right to Hartenstein. This dude's passing ability, everyone knows about it, right? Like, this guy, when he's got the ball at the three-point line or like maybe high at the free throw line, there's a couple of things that he's going to do. He's going to look for cutters that are coming off of pin downs. He's going to look for cutters going down to the rim. He's going to look for handoffs. He's going to look for open teammates. He's also going to fake the handoffs, put the ball down, maybe get to the rim, try to force a possession if he sees a mismatch down low. Just the decision-making from Hartenstein, I love it. He's been an awesome addition to this team. He is such an X factor for the Thunder, especially in this series. And honestly, I guess you could say, Chet had a way better game 2. I'm happy for Chet because they needed him for sure. But Hartenstein's just been awesome in these 2 games. You get the double big lineup finally, and Hartenstein just gets an alley-oop to Chet, which it's one of those actions that has made the Thunder so damn good as well. You get the high ball screen with Hartenstein. He helps the ball handler get a ton of separation because Hartenstein's just a brick wall with the screens that he sets. And now all of a sudden, the defense is in help, and when you have Hartenstein setting that high screen, Miles Turner's in that action, so he's getting pulled away. That's the Pacers basically their only rim protector, and then Chet's just chilling in the dunker spot, just waiting in the back line. As soon as help shows on Shea in the mid-range or on Hartenstein in the short roll, it's an alley-oop dunk to Chet, and we saw it work like magic. Right? I mean, it's been one of the easier actions. It's very Denver Nuggets-esque, where the high pick and roll is coming between the elite guard with the ball in his hands and then a good screen, which obviously Jokic will set really good screens. Jokic also is a floor spacer, so, the big has to really show out high. And then, when Jamal Murray throws that pass to Jokic in that short roll, Jokic throws the lob to Aaron Gordon. It's a very similar thing that we see all the time. And the Cavs, we see it from the Cavs as well, with the high pick and roll, whether it's Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland, and then it's Jared Allen or it's Evan Mobley, and then it's one of the 2 bigs in the dunker spot. It's that very awesome, easy little 2 points that teams can get when they have two skilled bigs. I spent a lot of time on that, but there was another nice pass from Hartenstein. It's an assist to Caruso. He sets a high ball screen for Shea. There's a short roll catch, and then he dimes it to Caruso in the dunker spot. Caruso, man, in the dunker spot, he eats nightly, and it is awesome stuff. Caruso was excellent. He was hitting everything. This guy, the 20-point game, they got the Caruso game, offensively speaking, and they capitalized on that. Speaking of excellent, though, Aaron Wiggins. They got the Aaron Wiggins game. It's a guy that, like, you know what you're gonna get from Caruso defensively. He's gonna show up offensively. Aaron Wiggins, sometimes he plays a lot, sometimes he barely plays. It's really like a feel. They play it by ear from what it looks like all season long, right? And you just know when the Aaron Wiggins game is coming. He hits a crazy little, like, in control layup that didn't look like it was gonna go in. When I saw that one go in, I was like, oh, this is gonna be the Aaron Wiggins game for sure. The dude was hitting step back threes, catch and shoot threes. He looked incredibly comfortable. This was an incredible game from Aaron Wiggins. The stats won't show it, but this was a much better Jalen Williams game. Just like, he had some moments where he's losing control, he's playing too fast, and he dialed it back. You see him snaking those pick and rolls and getting to that mid-range. Didn't hit a lot of shots this game. He still hasn't really found his groove offensively, but he got to the free throw line a lot more, and he was making better decisions in general. I'm still waiting on the Jalen Williams explosion game. I'll talk about that later too. Lu Dort, after having an awesome offensive night in game one, he kind of regresses back to his main role on this team, which is just, you're going to pressure Halliburton 94 feet. You're going to just fight over every screen. You're going to get physical. You're going to get as handsy as you can. I mean, that's just his role. He did it at a high level. He completely took Hallie out of this game and whoever he was guarding out of this game. Dort didn't have it offensively, but like I said, his whole game in game two was defense. He made an insane impact again, and he does it every single night. By the way, just like a little side note, there's two guys in the league that I had over Evan Mobley for Defensive Player of the Year. And number one, I had Dyson Daniels. I think that when you get to the traditional kind of primitive stat keeping when it comes to defense, it's steals and blocks, right? And they call those stocks. Dyson Daniels was a thief in the backcourt, and this guy is doing it on multiple positions and just racking up steal after steal after steal. Just the deflections, everything that you see from Lu Dort, Dyson Daniels in the regular season was just this much better in my opinion. And I wouldn't have argued if it was Lu Dort either, but I had those two guys over Evan Mobley, so I was very surprised when Evan Mobley won Defensive Player of the Year. Anyways, let's get right back to this stuff. So, Cason Wallace, very similar to Dort in that he didn't give you memorable offensive moments. He did a lot on defense. That block on Aaron Nesmith, like in the corner, that was a huge block. I thought he fouled Aaron Nesmith. He got there right on time and just blocked the shot in just such quick time. It was crazy to see. You know, that was awesome by Cason Wallace. And then obviously, the last shout out for the Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, this dude is having an all-time finals right now. This dude is cooking. He's getting wherever he wants. He's, with the change of pace and the change of direction and the great footwork and the calmness and the shot making. And what shots he's getting to if you've watched him long enough. Like when Shai's sitting in that baseline 2 area where it's on the left side or the right side, you just know that he's going to back down Andrew Nembhard or whoever it is, and help could be in the gap and close to him. He'll still turn around, hit the fadeaway over the defense and the help defense, and that's what makes it so difficult to read Shai, because Shai's also going to make the right pass. And when Miles Turner is showing on some of those shots, or like a help defender is showing, they don't know when Shai is going to actually make that pass. So they're in that gap, and they don't know if they should overhelp, because the Thunder they cut off the ball with perfect timing. If you turn your head, there's a cut. If you're showing too hard, there's an open three. And Shai has really perfected his that in-between game where it's like, I'm about to take this shot, but then I make the kick out at the last second. He has been very precise, just very accurate with making those kickouts at the last second, even in the middle of a shot when he makes that pass. He gets those passes through very often, and I think that that's another underrated part of his game too. I want to get to the shout-outs for the Pacers because I did spend a lot of time on the Thunder here. And honestly, because they got blown out, I only really have 3 guys here that I want to shout out. Aaron Nesmith, man, he has shot the lights out from 3. I don't have the numbers on me right now, but I think he's like 46% from 3 in these last 2 games so far. And he's not just hitting like open ones. This dude is hitting some tough contested ones. Some of them are late contests, but he is catching them on the move. He's catching them from deep, and he is hitting them time and time again. Not to mention the defensive job that he's also tasked with. This guy has been an incredible addition to this team. Great trade when the Pacers acquired him. I also want to give a shout out to TJ McConnell. This guy in these last 2 games, he has been supremely comfortable and confident, as you would expect. This guy's been around for a while now. He gets where he wants. He is a mid-range god. If you know TJ McConnell, like if you actually watch him play, you know his game is in the mid-range. You know his game is keeping the ball alive when he's dribbling through that baseline, which we call the Nash dribble. He makes good decisions. He's like he's as traditional of a point as you can get at this point in the NBA, and he does a great job. He's just always relevant. He rarely makes mistakes, and you love his minutes, when you see him out there. Miles Turner had a really good third quarter. Honestly, he was getting to the free throw line. He's hitting those pick and pop 2s where they're kind of like overshowing on the drive when they run a high ball screen with Turner, and Turner just kind of picks him. He pick and pops, right? Those long 2s. He hits a 3 over Chet. And like I said, he got to the free throw line. He had a really good third quarter. I think he had a good game. I think he could have been better, but I think he was fine. Like, he showed up as much as they kind of needed him to, even though, you see the 1 for 5 from 3. It honestly felt like he made more 3s in this game. So I don't know if I'm alone in that, but that's how I felt. I felt like Turner was hitting more shots. But, now that I'm looking at it, 20% from 3 is kind of crazy. So, anytime that the Thunder are like in this situation where they switch or they overhelp on a drive after a pick and roll with Turner, you can tell that they're kind of like late closing out and kind of playing the percentage game with Turner, because Turner has shot it very well. I think he's probably shot it the best this regular season in his career from 3, but he is a guy that, even though he's shot that high percentage, there are games where he can't knock down 3s, and it's weird. You think they're going to go in because I like his shot mechanics. I like how it looks on the way up. But, you don't feel too bad about letting Turner shoot a couple, right? And I think the Thunder have really figured that part out. Let's get to the call-outs section of this pod, because I think that this was also something that stood out to me in terms of the Halliburton thing, right? If you did not watch this game, or you're just watching the highlights, you're going to be fooled by the box score and be like, oh, 53.8% from the field, 37.5% from 3, 17 points. Classic Hallie game. Watch the game. The Thunder had Hallie in chains. This dude has been off the ball a lot. The usage rate is down compared to the regular season, and I think the rest of these playoffs. I haven't looked after game 2, but he has played a lot of off-ball role. Like, give it to Nembhard, give it to, kind of like pitch it to Ben Mathurin, cut away, and then, try to catch the ball back and things like that. Dort's doing an incredible job. When Cason Wallace picks him up, he's doing a great job. Any switch on Halliburton, they're denying the ball on him. They're up the line, right? They're cutting off that pass at the top and forcing Hallie to go down, right? To cut down. And there was a backcourt violation by Halliburton because of the pressure. I think it was Caruso on him, and Hallie's like backing up and loses his footing, gets the backcourt violation, and that was kind of the story, right? And then, so you wonder, okay, so when did he get this? Like, how did he get this percentage up when he was having such a bad game? It was in the fourth quarter. Like, the bulk of this stat sheet for Halliburton is the fourth quarter, when basically the game was pretty much a wrap. Like, by that point, he was coming off the handoffs and using that momentum to get to the rim. He's hitting floaters. He's hitting some crazy threes. But this was already like kind of like I'm going out swinging, right? And Hallie will make a lot of shots like that because the pressure's kind of off because you basically assume that this game is a loss. And a lot of guys typically start to make shots because you already kind of feel like it's over and whatever you make is a bonus. Right? Like that's like a little mental thing that I've noticed too. Siakam, yikes, man. 3 for 11 from the field. And this guy cannot go left. Everything is right. He had some horrible misses in this game. This dude looked horrendous. And you're going to look at the 15 points and be like, oh, he wasn't too bad. Well, you know, he was fouling a lot. They're trying to get it to him like on an entry pass. And the Thunder are just not allowing it. And a lot of the bulk of his points were at the free throw line, man. He went 8 for 9 at the free throw line. So, you know, you take away half of those free throws for whatever reason you want to do it, and the points really start to cut down. You know, who else can I call out here? Oh, Obi Toppin, 100%. This guy was awesome in game 1 and 1 for 8 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, just a no-show from Obi Toppin. And he's better than that. Right, and you expect him to bounce back at home, so that's going to be an interesting little part of this. Now, let's get to the last kind of section of this pod, and that's the perspectives and kind of, you know, final thoughts on this one before we wrap up. So, the Thunder side of things. I knew, and I said it at the end of the last pod, Daigneault is most likely going to stick to the small ball stuff because it worked for basically 99% of the game in game 1. They just let go of the rope and, you know, things didn't work out. They weren't rebounding well either. Part of that is because of a lot of the small ball stuff. But he mixed in the double bigs. Like I said, he had to do because you can't just not mix in the double big rotation because that's been your bread and butter all year long. You're going to get good looks. And guess what? He ran the double bigs, not as long as I wanted it. I wanted to see it. And you could be like, Vic, shut up, man. They won by 20. Like, what are you complaining about? And you're absolutely right. Like, you know what I mean? If you want to take that, that's fine. But me, I just love the double big look. When they get by someone when the Pacers get by a defender and it's Chet showing, it's an immediate U-turn. Because guess what happens if you go up on Chet? He is going to block that shit. Or he is going to deflect it, or if you make like a crazy pass, or at the very least, you're going to try to shoot around him, and most likely you're going to miss because you're avoiding that shot block. You're avoiding, you know, some of the good length from Chet when he's there just in help. And it just becomes this like concerning decision that you made after driving, and now you're making a pass out, and guess what? The Thunder are ready for a U-turn and a break glass in case of emergency type of, you know, kick out, right? Because that's what plays into the hands of the Thunder, literally. You know, when Chet shows or Hartenstein shows, and all of a sudden they make a crazy pass and it's a steal and they're going the other way. That's defensively speaking, right? Let alone the big-to-big lobs and the pick and rolls where you bring out a big, and, you know, I talked about that earlier. So, you know, I was glad to see the double big lineup. I wanted to see it more, but they got the win. It is what it is. Let's go to the positive perspectives for the Thunder. They bounced back, right? So they can obviously be like, hey, man, we let go of the rope in game 1. We should really be up 2-0. It is what it is. We're not looking back. You've heard the pressers. You've heard them talk. They're not looking back at anything. They're not regretting anything. They're just moving on game to game. Now, they have a lot of work to do because the next 2 games, obviously, they're at Indiana. And if they lose game 3 is the biggest game of the series for now, right? Until the next one. And I say that because if the Thunder lose game 3, which, by the way, the crowd is in their first home game NBA Finals since 2000. So it's like this home court is going to be insane. Both of these games, and every game if there are more to come after 3 and 4. But if the Pacers win game 3, the Thunder are back in the same seat that they were in after game 1, which is we're chasing this series. It puts a tremendous amount of pressure to win a game on the road because now you're potentially going to be down 3-1 if you lose that game 4, you know? So like all hands on deck for game 3, man. It is just So much pressure. And if you're the Pacers and you lose game 3, you could certainly say the same thing. Their backs are against the wall, but they have like, hey, that same concept that the Thunder had, which is, hey, we got another game at home. We can even the series up, and then, it's back. It's back tied 2-2. So in my opinion, the Pacers are in a more comfortable position than the Thunder, because the Thunder, in my opinion, they absolutely have to win game 3. So that is something I'm concerned about if I'm the Thunder as well. A positive thought is, hey, I'm still waiting on the Jalen Williams explosion game. Still haven't seen it. Better game 2 hasn't been the J-Dub that we know can be, right? That we know he can be. We're also pending a Chet monster game. He was a lot better this game, but we haven't seen a Chet explosion game either. And I really think we're going to see it, especially if you do the double big thing longer, because it just gives Chet open space to get things done, like against smaller defenders, and he can put the ball down, and all of a sudden there's no rim protection, and he can just dunk on people. I feel like that is totally possible, and I'm waiting on that as well. Now, Pacers side of things, and I mentioned it earlier, we got one on the road, we did our job, we have home court advantage. We just got to get the job done at this point. That's the positives for them. Now, I will say concerns. Hallie hasn't put together a game that makes you think, oh, he's going to dominate this series, right? Like after 2 games, you're really starting to question whether this is going to be a Hallie off the ball series where everyone else is just going to have to step up and show up, right? And then Hallie can kind of find his spots. But then you wonder, can they win a series against this Thunder team with their best ball handler, their best decision maker, their leader, really, the head of the snake of their offense? Can they win a series against the Thunder without him on the ball? And that remains to be seen, So I'm waiting to see. And I'm expecting Hallie to have a great game at home, whether it's in 3 or 4, or who knows? Maybe for the rest of the series, he kind of figured something out, and maybe he can have good games. That remains to be seen. And also, a concern for the Pacers before I wrap this up. If the Thunder do go double big, which we saw in bursts, the Pacers don't have an answer for that in the paint. They just don't. The only answer the Pacers have against that double big lineup is doubling down on transition and pace. Picking up the pace, running Hartenstein and Chet out of the building, and hoping that your offense can sustain the struggles protecting the paint, right? Because now all of a sudden, you guys either overshow to protect the rim, and now you're allowing open threes, which plays into the hands of some really good Thunder shooters, or you zone up and now you're outside of your comfort zone, and the Thunder have faced much better zones than the Indiana Pacers. I'll tell you that right now. And then all of a sudden, the floodgates open and the Thunder just completely take over. So I'm definitely concerned about what the Pacers can respond to if they're not getting fast break points, if they're not able to get out in transition against that double big lineup. I enjoyed watching this game. I fully expected, like I said, I expected the Thunder to bounce back and just play a great full 48-minute game. It was a lot of pressure. Lou Dort just relentless, physical. I love watching this guy play defense. I love watching Case and Wallace play defense. I love Alex Caruso watching him play defense. Shea will get after it. All these switches on the pick and rolls. I mean, their pick and roll defense against the Pacers when Hallie was on the ball, which is their most threatening high pick and roll action that they have, is when Hallie's on the ball, because Hallie is very slick with that ball, man. He is just as smooth as it gets. He makes decisive moves that just make it look like his moves make it look like defense isn't playing defense, because it almost looks like he's just walking by guys and skipping around and hopping and like having fun. But he is just so technically sound when he is getting to like left to right and maneuvering around the screens, and OKC is just glued to him and they're connected and they're staying attached, and then Turner leaks out, and then all of a sudden it's a wide open Turner 3 over allowing a Hallie little floater, because he makes those at high efficiency. So, watching the Thunder just completely problem solve on the fly through the physicality, through the switching, through the help defense, the peel switching, the staying in the gaps, the protecting the rim, collapsing and going out and, running out and contesting shooters. It was an excellent game for the Thunder on both ends. And I'm interested to see how the Pacers respond, though I am going to bank on the Thunder getting this next game 3. and maybe the Pacers even the series. I have a feeling that the Thunder are going to split some road games here. And by the way, they have to. At the very least, they have to get a game on the road, because being down 3-1, if you lose both of those road games, you almost have to think that it's a Pacers championship waiting to happen. If the Pacers go up 3-1, it just becomes a mountain. And we know about the 3-1 comeback, right, from the Cavs. And, the Thunder certainly capable of doing that as well. But you don't want them in that position if you pick the Thunder to win the finals. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I will catch you guys on the next one.